spring, and today not so much, but at least there's a sliver of sun.
Spring break.
It's spring break, yes. So on that note, if you'd like me to turn, we'll get warm as we start to practice, but if you need some extra heat as we start, please let me know. If you need some fans, I'm happy to keep everything moving. For those of us that are new to each other, or it's been some time since we've seen each other, my name is Anisha. I'd love to have you in class. And for the whole month of March, stories about this guy. So on February 26th, just last week in fact, was a holiday in the Hindu and yogic tradition called Mahashivaratri, the great holiday of the Lord Shiva, the Lord of Yoga, the Lord of Destruction, and this deity that we have in the studio. So for the majority of the month of March, I'll be spending time sharing stories about him. We'll be practicing poses that he's most well known for, namely dancer pose and its different variations. But he's a powerful being, and it's a sweet time of year to kind of call in his stories, his energy, and see where he starts to take us. So you might have heard, if you've been practicing at the studio for a while, this phrase that there's a reason why there's no mirrors in the yoga studio, and it's because the more you get to learn about stories of the gods and goddesses and the deities that are up here, these are the mirrors through which we experience ourselves. The qualities that exist within the deities are qualities that exist in the human condition. And so each week, today I'll tell you one big story, and each week you're more than welcome to come up and take a look. But the more you get to see, even the way his hands are placed, the way his feet are placed, everything he's holding in his hands, what he's dancing around, you get to learn more qualities and aspects of yourself. So each week we'll spend a little bit of time talking about them and seeing how they dive into our practice. But for today's story, I'll tell it as quickly and succinctly as I possibly can. The story in Sanskrit that's called Samudra Manthan, which means the churning of the milky ocean. And the story begins in a kind of a disorienting way, where already you're thrown into the middle where an ocean of milk is churning, and the gods are all looking upon it being like, I don't know if this is normal. Something feels a little not correct. And so the story begins already in a place of confusion, a place of not knowing, and a place of deep misunderstanding. But essentially what's happened is the ocean is churning because the goddess of beauty, Lakshmi, has disappeared from the world. And because she's disappeared, everything that blooms, that generates, that nourishes has sort of withered away. It's gone, plants are dying, systems are falling. The world order as we know it just has slowly collapsed. And the only way to find her is to churn this ocean of milk. So as the gods and the demons are churning, from the ocean emerges a whole litany of things. There's jewels, there's animals that you've never seen from the ocean, but also there's a deep, mysterious, dark poison that comes from the ocean itself. It's called hala hala, and the power of this poison is that everything that it touches or comes around, it immediately disintegrates. So Shiva comes, the Lord of Destruction, the great Lord of Yoga, and he sees this hala hala that's contaminating everything around him. And he says, the only way to remove this poison is I'm going to drink it. I'm going to take it and I'm going to consume it. And all the gods start to see him drinking the poison. And his beloved Parvati, the goddess of the householder, she sees it slowly creeping down his throat. And she says, the story goes, she puts her hand on his chest to stop the poison from continuing into the rest of his body. And then afterwards, he's known, his throat turns this vibrant cerulean blue color, and he's known as the blue-throated one. So when you see pictures of him after he's consumed the poison, you know he's absorbed and digested the world as we know it. The end. So why am I telling you this story? One, sometimes it's just nice as an adult to get a little brief story time and kind of check out from our reality as we know it and hear stories that you might not have heard before. But two, the qualities of the story exist in our everyday life. The story is, there's never a time when our metaphorical ocean of milk, the ocean of consciousness, the ocean of the world, is ever still. There will constantly be waves and things that are emerging, where beauty is emerging, where poison is emerging, where confusion is emerging. And the story of Shiva asks us, it's not how do you consume, digest, kind of swallow and tamp down the poison, but how can you absorb it into your being and begin to ride the currents of the waves that come up. So I have a lot more to say about it. We're going to practice 1,000,000 rounds, and by 1,000,000 I mean 4 rounds of dancer pose, Natarajasana, that he's most famous for. It's a back bend, it's a balancing posture. It requires a great deal of stamina and steadiness in your breath. And the question becomes, is regardless of how the ocean of milk, how that metaphorical ground underneath you is wavering, how can you find and experience the beauty, the breath, and the stillness within each one of the postures that we move into? So, this great mysterious man who wears a loincloth, whose hair is the hair of the Ganga River. His entire hair is the river itself, and he dances in a ring of fire that's constantly burning. So each week we'll get to more and more and kind of pick apart what he represents. But I'm really happy you're here. Thank you for coming. Let's start together actually in heart bench, if you wouldn't mind. So if there's a version of heart bench that you love to be in, that you prefer, please find your way into it. But we'll have your head towards the front of the room, your feet to the back of your mat. I like to have one block at its highest height, another block at its middle height. And when you come to lie down, you want that low block to hit in between your shoulder blades. So think less in the bendy part of your spine, in your lumbar, but more in the upper back. And then the top block, you can use your hands to adjust so that it really supports the weight of your head. Give yourself a few moments to find almost the Goldilocks position, a place where you can be in and breathe in for a few breaths. If you'd like, and if it feels uncomfortable or asymmetrical, I'm more than happy to move the blocks an inch or two, because sometimes that creates a world of difference. Do you mind if I just move this block an inch back so it's not tilted? How's that? And as you come to lay on the ground onto your blocks, feel free to do anything you like with your legs. They might be out long in front of you in more of that Shavasana shape. If you're experiencing anything in your low back or in your hips, you might have your knees bent, feet as wide as your mat, and knock your knees into one another to clear some space. But as your arms fall down by your sides, perhaps your palms up to the ceiling, so the shoulder blades can come together on your upper back. Soften your eyes and begin to listen for your breath. When we close our eyes, it gives us a moment to see every version of ourselves more clearly. Where that metaphorical milky ocean can subside. And you may listen for the sounds and currents of your own breath. So as you feel and notice and witness each of your breaths, can you see how the more you remember them, your breath continues to remember you in return? Let your next inhale move from your nose, down into your belly, and up into your heart. And every exhale, offer the breath up and out through every fiber of your being. Continue with a few more of those breaths on your own. Each inhale can move in, down, and wide. And every exhale pours itself up, out, and through you. This entire practice is first and foremost an offering to your breath. This breath that sustains us, that surrounds us, and informs every single action we do. So as we begin our time and our practice here with one another, we'll start with 3 rounds of that same breath. Wait for your next inhale as it fills you up completely. And exhale to offer all of that breath out. 2 more times, just on your own. At the bottom of your breath, pause for a moment. Take notice of any difference that comes when you listen for and truly remember your breath. And now keeping that attention inward as best as you can, softly blink open your eyes, and let's all meet with the knees bent, feet on the floor, with your feet right underneath your ankles. And with your feet heavy and your hips heavy, as you inhale, reach your arms straight up towards the ceiling as if you're holding a ball in between your palms. Spread your fingers wide. Let the back of your head get heavy onto its support. And on your next inhale, reach your fingertips 3 more inches towards the ceiling. Feel your shoulder blades broaden on the block. And exhale to plug the shoulder blades together as you keep your arms straight. 2 more with your breath. Big inhale, reach up, get taller through the arms. And as you exhale, shoulder blades soften as your belly tones to your spine. 1 more big breath in, get taller, stretch up through the fingertips. And as you exhale, plug the shoulder blades towards one another. Now keeping the shoulder blades hugging in, begin to sweep your arms overhead towards the front of your mat. Imagine like your thumbs could touch the floor first while your pinkies would reach to the ceiling. And as you stretch through the fingertips, anchor down through your hips and the soles of your feet. A big breath in. And on your exhale, interlace your fingers, bring your hands to the back of your head. And you can ditch that block that's supporting your head so that your head is supported in the hammock of your hands here. If the chest is feeling a little tighter this morning, your elbows can dart to the sky, or you might open your elbows towards opposite ends of the room. But press your head back into your palms, gently lift your chin as you take a big breath in, and exhale to offer the breath out. Tone your belly towards your spine. Take another full breath. And now for this heart bench crunch, curl yourself away from the earth. Keep your upper back on the block. Inhale to peel yourself all the way back as you drape down. We'll do that 5 more times with your breath. Exhale, belly to spine to lift. Inhale to drape yourself back. You might keep the knees bent, feet heavy, or to add a little extra steadiness or heat in the belly, you might straighten your legs as you dig your heels, your calves, and the backs of your thighs into the ground. But follow your breath for 3 more rounds. As you curl up, can you gently lift the chin away from your chest? Feel the belly knit towards your spine. Let the fingertips be soft at the back of your head, and really notice the fluency of your breath. Now the 4th or 5th time, you curl your way away from the ground. Bend your knees if they're not already. Let your hands catch behind your legs. Curl yourself away from the block to a seat, and we'll meet in tabletop facing the front of your mat to link breath and movement together. Have your blocks framing out the front of your mat. Perhaps you use them as we start to move about. But in your first table, with those hands as wide as your mat, spread your fingers and tuck all 10 toes under, back behind you. Feel the arches of your feet. Begin to round and arch, moving with your breath through a few rounds of cat and cow. Let's go for 5 cycles of breath on your own. It might feel sweet to stay rounded or arched for a few extra cycles. You might even move forward and back, your hips towards your heels and shoulders forward of the wrists. But take these few breaths to see what it feels like to not just move your body independently, but how your breath, your body, and the very spirit that you are can harmonize together. When you find your next exhale, come back to table, find your neutral. For a calf stretch, reach the right leg back, tuck the right toes under, reach through your right heel as you slide the crown of your head forward to grow longer in every direction. A deeper breath in and a longer breath out. And then switch sides, bend your right knee, stretch back through the left. Think heel back and bottom of your heart forward to grow longer from front to back. After a few breaths on the second side, come back to table. Walk your hands a handprint forward of your shoulders, bring your knees behind your hips, and with your toes tucked under, we'll meet in downward facing dog. Take as many breaths and as much time as you'd like to find your way there. In your down dog, perhaps it's stillness. Maybe you gently pedal your heels from one side to the other, or let your knees soften and straighten simultaneously as you lift your hips up and back to the wall behind you. But a deeper breath in and a longer breath out. At the bottom of your exhale, lift the heels, soften your knees, peek forward, and 1 foot at a time, walk your feet up towards your hands to walk it into your forward fold. There might be blocks underneath your fingertips so the floor meets you where you are. You might widen your feet an inch or two and soften your knees so that your fingertips really can tap something solid out in front of your feet. But as you let your head be heavy, even gently nod your head yes, or slowly nod your head no as you bow in towards yourself. On your next inhale, climb your hands up onto your hips, come all the way up to stand, and release your hands by your sides. With your feet right underneath your hips, wait for your next inhale to reach the arms forward and up, and exhale to soften the knees, hinge at your hips to fold. Inhale to come up halfway to lengthen, hands to your blocks or shins as you reach your chest forward. And exhale to step it back to plank pose, the top of your push-up. Knees up or down, but feel your legs back in space behind you. And energetically hug them towards each other, feel them become one pillar. Now hug your arms together, hug the palms together as you slide the head back. Take a deep breath in. And exhale to bend your elbows to lower all the way down to your belly. Wait for your inhale to rise for cobra or baby cobra as you lift up through the chest. And on your exhale, take it back to down dog, tabletop, or puppy pose for 3 steady breaths. Even these first few moments of class, the first warm-ups, the first Surya Namaskar, it's like the churning of the milky ocean itself, noticing anything you feel in your body and being, how your breath syncopates, and what it is that you see under the surface of your own skin. When you find your next exhale, take your time, lift the heels, soften your knees, look forward, and come forward, your feet towards your hands into your forward fold. Inhale to come up halfway to lengthen, grow longer through the spine. And exhale to fold, bowing in towards yourself. Take a breath in to rise, stand through your legs, reach up through the arms, get taller. And exhale to let your hands come down by your sides. This time find a block and place it in between your thighs to give your legs something to hug into. Think less high up in the groins, but more to the middle of your thighs itself. And now gently hug the block together from right to left. And imagine like you could shoot the block back behind you. You'll feel your inner thighs spin in. Now can you anchor your sitting bones towards your heels, slide the ribs back, bring the shoulder blades together as you lift the heart. Now keep the block between your thighs, give it a hug. As you inhale, reach up, get tall. Exhale to hug the block as you fold and bow in. On an inhale, hug the block, come up halfway, hands to blocks or shins. And as you exhale, fold, bowing in towards yourself. It'll be a little awkward, but try to keep the block there as you plant your palms, give it a squeeze, and skitter or hop your feet back to plank pose with the block between your thighs. Again, knees down or up, but hug the block. Picture like you could shoot the block up towards the ceiling. Now think tail towards your heels as you slide your chest forward. A big breath in. Exhale to lower all the way down onto your belly. I know the block is awkward there. Just try to work with it. Give it a hug. Press your feet into the ground and inhale for cobra or baby cobra as you hug the block together. And on your exhale, lower all the way back down. Tuck your toes, squeeze the block, press up through to tabletop or plank pose with the block still there. And exhale to take it back to downward facing dog with the block still there. In yoga technical terms, we call this the reverse Pez dispenser, meaning When you hug the block together with your thighs, try to shoot it back towards the wall behind you. You'll feel your tush lift and lengthen. Now, can you slide the ribs away from the floor? Slide the ears back so they're in line with your heart. And as you take a deeper breath in and longer exhale out, gently hug that block between your thighs. Okay, one last awkward. Look forward. Soften your knees, squeeze the block, and skitter or a few hops to walk your feet up towards your hands with the block still there. Inhale to lengthen halfway. Hug the block, grow longer. As you exhale, hug the block and fold in. Okay, finally, ditch the block from between your thighs. Wait for the breath to come all the way up to rise. Reach up, touch the sky, and exhale to let your hands come down by your sides. Bring your palms to your thighs. Bend your knees. Sit your hips back into chair pose. Feel that imaginary block between your legs. Give it a squeeze. Let your hips get heavy. And as you push into your thighs, lift your chest. Stay here. If you want to add some heat in the upper body, reach the arms up to the sky. But take a full breath in, down, and wide. With every exhale, think hips heavy to the back of your mat as you lift your chest, even your gaze away from the floor. Inhale to come all the way up to stand. Reach up, touch the sky, and exhale to fold, bowing in. Keep your right foot forward, step your left foot all the way back to catch your lunge, and come high up onto blocks or fingertops on either side of that right foot. Wiggle your left foot back another inch or two so you get longer in your stance. Now keep the right knee bent, keep your hands on the blocks as you inhale, lift the chest, and exhale to fold and straighten your right leg. Let's do that twice more. Big breath in through to lunge. Bend the knee, lift up through the heart. Exhale to fold and straighten your right leg. One more big breath in, come through to lunge. Can you grow longer through the crown of your head? And exhale to fold as the right leg straightens. Now pause here in this version of pyramid pose. Lift your back heel a drop higher up off the ground. Wrap your left hip forward and tack your outer right hip back. Notice what you feel in the back of your right thigh. Now on your inhale, push into the blocks. Grow long through the spine. Stay here, or as you exhale, you might soften your elbows and bow in towards that right leg. A deeper breath in. Stay for one more exhale. Try to release the grip of your fingers around the block or on the floor. And now on your next inhale, back it up. Bend your right knee, step your left foot forward to meet your right into your standing forward fold. Inhale lengthens you halfway, grow longer. As you exhale, fold and bow in. With your feet 2 fists width apart, bend your knees, sit back through the hips. Utkatasana second time. Maybe hands to thighs or arms up overhead. But as your knees guide open towards those second and third toes, think hips heavy as you lift your heart. Take a deep breath in, down, and wide. Stay for the exhale. Think hips heavy as you lift your heart up to the sky. And now inhale to come all the way to rise. Reach up, get a drop taller than you've been. Big exhale to fold, bowing in. Keep that left foot forward. Step your right foot back to catch your lunge. Come high up onto your blocks or fingertips once again on either side of the left foot. Squeegee the right toes back, get longer. Now as you inhale, bend the left knee, lift your chest. Take a big breath in. Exhale to fold and straighten the left leg. 2 more. On your inhale, come through to lunge, the whole breath. As you exhale, fold and let the left leg straighten. 1 more big breath in through to lunge, grow longer through the heart. And as you exhale, fold as the left leg straightens. Pause here for a breath. Lift that right heel, the back one, higher off the ground to help wrap your right hip forward to give space for the left hip to tack back. You might feel that more in the back of your left leg. Now as you press into the blocks, take a deep breath in, grow long through the spine. Stay here, or as you exhale, you might fold and bow in towards that leg. A deeper breath in. 1 more exhale to let that breath out. And now on your inhale, come back through to lunge, bend the knee, plant your palms on the floor, and step it back to downward facing dog. Pedal the heels one at a time. Notice any difference that you feel from side to side. On your next inhale, come forward to plank pose. Hug the imaginary block between your thighs and exhale to lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Reach your arms alongside of you. Flip your palms down to face the floor. A moment in locust. Hug your inner thighs together. Hug the shoulder blades together. And as you inhale, lift your head, lift your heart, float your arms up off the earth, and exhale to let the legs float up and away from the ground. As you take flight, let your eyes close or soften to feel for your breath. With each inhale, hug the imaginary block. Every exhale, think inner thighs towards the sky. Each breath in, keep the legs steady as you hug the shoulder blades together and lift your palms one more inch. A big breath in. And on your exhale, release. Lower down. Make a pillow with your palms. Rest on your forehead or on one of your cheeks. Close your eyes and really feel for the full depth of your breath. In the story, it is a very literal ocean of milk that's churning. But when we think about it in relation to our daily lives, the ocean of milk is everything that's happening around us, in our outer world and our inner world. And so as Shiva consumed all of the things that came out of the ocean, the question becomes not how do you digest or ignore or deny what's happening, but how can you feel the full fluency of your breath in each given moment? So let's stay on the ground for a moment longer. Take a first of the thigh stretches. Keep a pillow with your left palm. Let your forehead rest on your left hand. And now bend your right knee and reach your right hand around for the pinky side edge of the right foot for half frog. Think right heel towards your right tush. And now remember that imaginary block. Hug those thighs together. Shrug your right shoulder up and back. And it's these two opposite actions as you press your right thigh down into the floor, kick your right foot back into your right hand. Notice what you feel there. A deeper breath in and a longer breath out. And now slowly release the whole of the right foot and switch. Pillow with your right hand, bend your left knee, and reach your left hand back for the pinky side edge of the left foot. Hug the imaginary block between your thighs. And as you press your left thigh down into the floor, shrug your left shoulder up and back. Take a big breath in. Stay for the exhale, even kick your foot back into your hand as you press the left thigh into your sticky mat. Now inhale to release the hold of that leg. Bring your hands to either side of your chest. Tuck your toes under. On an inhale, push the floor away from you, table or plank pose. And exhale to meet in downward facing dog, hips to the sky. From your down dog, float the right leg up and back. Step it through to catch your lunge. And on your next inhale, come on up to rise for high lunge. Reach the arms and the chest to the sky. Walk the right foot an inch or two over to the right so those feet are less on a tightrope. And now as you reach up through the fingertips and bend into the front thigh, bend your left elbow, give yourself a pat on the back, and let your right fingertips grab onto the left elbow. Think left elbow to the ceiling. Gently press your head back into that forearm. And then remember those heart bench crunches. Can you slide the ribs back to breathe into the middle of your back? Take a full breath in. Stay for the exhale. You might bend into the right thigh as you lift the left elbow up to the ceiling. And then on your next breath, release those arms, bring them to your hips, and we come to stand. All the hops you need to spring off the left foot. Stand down through the right leg, grow 1 inch taller through the top of your head. Lower both feet to the floor. Bend your knees, sit your hips back. Lean all of your weight into your left foot, lift your right heel. And for standing figure 4, cross your right ankle over the left thigh. Really bend the left knee like chair. And as you hinge the hips back and lift your chest, your hands can stay on your hips. They might come in front of your heart. They might reach up overhead. But take a full breath in, down, and wide. Stay for the exhale. Try to flex the right foot as you lift your gaze away from the floor. And now inhale to come all the way to stand. Lower both feet down. Take a breath, reach up, touch the sky. And on your exhale, fold and bow in. We'll meet in downward facing dog. You can get there however you'd like. You might plant your palms and step right back. You might move through one of those linking vinyasas we've done together before. You might take a breath or two in table. But anywhere you are, really listen for the full depth of your breath. A deeper breath in and a longer, steadier breath out. Now when your breath brings you to your down dog for the second side, no rush, lift the left leg up, step it through or around to catch the lunge, and a slow, steady brings you up to rise for high lunge on the second side. Again, walk the left foot as much as you need to the left, but lift the back heel, knee, and thigh high, even look away from the floor. This time, bend your right elbow, give yourself a pat on the back. Let the left fingertips grab on. Think elbow to the ceiling. Gently press your head back and notice if the ribs and belly move forward. Mine always do. Can you slide the ribs back to breathe into the middle of your back and press your head back? A big breath in. Stay for one more exhale. You might bend into the left thigh as you grow taller through the right elbow. And now inhale to release the arms up overhead or to your hips. Up to stand we come. Spring off the right foot. Stand down through the left leg, grow 1 inch taller through the top of your head. And now lower both feet to the ground, bend your knees, sit low, lean into the right foot, lift your left heel. And for standing figure 4 on the second side, hinge back through the hips. With your hands anywhere to steady your balance. Do your best to flex the left foot. It'll steady the left ankle and the knee. Take a big breath in and down. Stay for your exhale. Let the hips get heavy as you lift your heart up to the sky. Now inhale to come all the way up to rise. Lower the feet to the ground. Reach up, take a breath in, and exhale to fold, bowing in. We meet once again in down dog. Feel free to find your way there in any way, shape, or form that offers it to your breath. A longer breath in and a steadier breath out. When you find your way to downward facing dog, let's all meet in tabletop. Lower your knees to the floor. You can sit back onto your heels, sip some water, shake it out. Fans? Are we okay? Okay. Yes?
I noticed in standing figure 4, sometimes I'll fold over and grab the blocks, and I'll feel more the open in my hips. Today, I decided to stay up. And I felt it less in the hips and more like in the standing leg. So I'm curious if that is the difference, or if maybe I need to lock in a different place.
Those two things are both true. They'll both happen at the same time. So the sensation that you had of when you fold forward and your hands catch the blocks, it is a much deeper hinge. So I like to give this suggestion, especially if you don't have a wall and balance is feeling precarious to hold, but it is a much deeper hinge in this body, in this hip, like you're folding forward a lot, versus when you're not holding onto anything, it's just this butt cheek, this standing leg that's holding your body weight up. So I don't think anything to adjust, just good to notice, seeing what leg is feeling different. And then depending on the day, you might be able to decide like, okay, I want to work more stability in the standing leg, or I'd like a different variation of a hip opener.
It's like more tools.
More tools. It doesn't end, does it? It just continues. Getting warmer? Okay. Let's do one more warm thing, and then we'll do our first round of dancer pose. So if you could, please, come to tabletop, somewhere to the top of your mat. And now from your table, lower your forearms down onto the floor. Before you interlace your fingers, let your hands grab your biceps, meaning where your shoulders and your arm bones start to meet. Give them a little hug. See where your elbows are. They'll be quite more narrow than shoulder distance. Now keep them there as you lower your forearms and interlace your fingers. That's it. Look forward. Shrug your shoulders to the ears. Soften between your shoulder blades and try to look at your wrists as we come into dolphin. Tuck all 10 toes under. Lift your knees and your hips up off of the ground. As you make your way to dolphin pose, really listen for the breath. Push your forearms down to lift your booty higher. And as you lift your hips up, push your forearms further into the floor. Stay right here, or you might walk your feet a centimeter, a couple inches, or a whole foot closer towards those elbows. But from between the shoulder blades, push down into the floor, lift your hips up. Take a big breath in. Stay for one more exhale. And now lower your knees to the ground, rest in table or child's pose, or a moment to catch your breath in. Whew. Yay. That looked great. Did anyone feel a difference when your elbows came closer together? I saw everyone's heads really high up off the floor. Great, because we're going to do it again. We're doing it one more time. Just once more. So after you've caught your breath, take a breath or two extra, and then come back to tabletop. Lower your forearms to the ground. Come somewhere to the top of your mat. And now if it helped you to grab your biceps, this will bring the elbows closer together because eventually they'll want to slip apart. So we're just stacking the deck in our favor. Interlace your fingers. Bring that awkward thumb on top. Tuck all 10 of your toes under. Lift your knees and your hips up to the sky. Now walk your feet in. Walk them in, walk them in, walk them in, walk them in, walk them in. One more inch. Push your forearms down. Lift your booty high. Breathe. Stay right here. Or we'll always keep one foot down and play with the asymmetry of lifting your right leg up off the floor. Straighten your right knee. Flex the right foot. Take a breath. Lower the right foot down. Lift the left leg up. Flex the left foot. Straighten your left knee. And as you push down into your forearms, lift your hips one more inch. A big breath in. Exhale to lower both feet to the ground. Take a full breath in your dolphin. A long exhale out. And now lower the knees to the floor when you're ready. Table, child's pose. You can lay fully on your belly as you drape down onto the ground. A breath. In through the nose and all the way out through the nose or mouth. Nice. Come on back to table, hands and knees. Walk your knees back behind your hips. Tuck all 10 of your toes under and take it back to downward facing dog. From your down dog, first round of dancer pose, here we come. Lift the right leg up, step it through to catch your lunge one more time. And on your next inhale, come up to rise, take the whole breath to meet in high lunge. Lift the back heel high, reach up through the fingertips, even look away from the floor. A big breath in. And on your exhale, get heavy into that front leg. Now hands come to your hips. Tiny bend in the back knee. Spring off your left foot and scoop your left thigh to your chest. This time, draw your left heel towards your left tush. Let your left hand hold the pinky side edge of your left foot. Soften your right standing knee. Hug the imaginary block between your thighs. And now as you kick your left foot back, shrug your left shoulder up and back to lift your chest. You might keep your right hand on your hip. You might bring it to your chest. You might reach it up overhead. But think thigh forward, kick back through the foot as you look away from the ground to get tall. A bigger breath in and a longer breath out. On your next inhale with care, lower both feet to the ground. Take a breath in, reach up, touch the sky. And on your exhale, fold, bow in. Plant those palms to the top of your mat. Walk your feet all the way back to the back of your mat to bring it to down dog. A full round of breath in and a steady, clear breath out through every direction. And now last side, lift the left leg up. Step your left foot through or around to catch your lunge. Wait for the whole breath to rise for high lunge on the second side. Take a breath here. Feel both feet on the ground. And as you lift up through the back thigh, stretch up through the fingertips, get taller, even look to see where you're going. A big breath in. Stay for your exhale and bend into that front leg. Now hands come to your hips. Soften the back knee, get springy and hop off your right foot. Draw your right heel towards your right tush and let your right hand hold the pinky side edge of the foot. The more you soften your left standing knee, like chair, it'll steady the ground beneath. Hug your thighs together, shrug your right shoulder up and back. And as you kick your foot back into your hand and lift your chest, maybe your left hand stays, maybe it comes to your heart, maybe it reaches up overhead. Soften the knee, lift up through the heart. A big breath in and a longer breath out. Now on your next inhale with care, release the hold of the foot, lower them to the ground and shake it out. Nice. Yeah? It's called Nattarajasana. That's the Sanskrit name. And the pose that we're about to do, it's called Shiva Nattarajasana. Now I know this doesn't necessarily look like this, but this is what we're doing, similar but different. And the idea is, it is a big back bend. It is a balanced posture. It's stabilizing in the glutes and the upper back. And you'll notice, just as I said, there's no mirrors in the studio, but he acts as the mirror. His standing leg is very bent, and that's for a reason. Because what you'll notice, it's like if you've ever stood in a line for a really long time with your knees locked out, and this has never happened to me, but I've gotten close where you're like, I'm going to pass out now. As soon as the knees lock, that's when Leaning Tower of Pisa comes. So then the knees are soft. It gives more steadiness and grounding underneath you. I know I said we're doing 1,000,000. We're going to do 2 more, 2 on the right, 2 on the left. So the next version is completely optional. You can do exactly what we just did again. Foot on the floor, chest tall, and it's these actions that are happening. You kick the foot back as you lift up through the chest. So we're getting taller versus the variation where you bow forward. You're getting tall, tall, tall. If you felt great, okay, feet on the floor feels rock solid. You might become a little taller. Maybe one foot comes onto the block. I call this platform shoe. This one is balance beam. Yeah, narrower the block. Especially regardless of where you are, on the block or on the floor, you gotta bend the standing knee. This knee has to be soft because this is where the dance starts to take place. So more this knee is soft, the more movement you might feel through the upper body itself. If you see this and you're like, I would love to stay on the floor, please stay on the floor. But we'll try 1 on each side, and then the last variation, we're going to use the strap. So you decide, do you want your feet on the ground, or would you like them on a block? If you're using the block, bring it to your desired height, platform shoe or balance beam. But let's all bring the left foot onto the block or onto the floor. Sorry if you picked the right. Soften both knees. Already here, let them be soft. Take a little bounce. Now lean into the left foot. Lift your right heel and draw your right heel towards your right tush. Let your right hand hold. Soften the left standing knee. Hug the thighs towards each other. Shrug the right shoulder up and back. And as you gently kick your foot back into your hand, maybe your left hand comes onto your hip. Maybe it comes to your heart, the blue-throated one, or you reach the left arm up to the sky. Think foot back as you lift up through the chest, a breath. And then when you feel steady to come out, slowly soften the standing knee, lower both feet to the ground, and shake it out. Okay, yes, success. Let's try the other side. If you did the block on side 1, try it again on side 2. Right foot on the block or on the floor. Step onto it. Lean into your right foot and lift your left heel. Soften your right standing knee. And let your left hand reach back for the left foot. Bring your right hand to your hip to start. It'll steady you. Think thighs together. Shrug your left shoulder up and back. And as you gently kick your foot back into your hand, lift up through the chest. Think heart to the ceiling. You can keep your right hand here. Maybe it comes to your heart. Maybe it reaches to the sky. But take a full breath in and a deeper breath out. And now on your next inhale, release the hold of the leg and lower both feet onto the floor. Anytime I stand on the block like this, I've made this joke before, but I'm like, people can be this tall? You can see at this height? Not me. Okay, next one, last one, before we find some side bends to find our way out. No block this time. Feet are going to stay on the floor. So this version where your hand holds the foot, it's a beautiful version to feel not only a thigh stretch, but also a pec stretch. The different variation, it's called Shiva Nattarajasana, where your hands are behind your head. And for me, the strap becomes my best friend at any given time. I'll show it to you, and then we'll work through it together, where you bring your strap, you loop it around a foot, and then you step your foot over and through. Now, as you lean forward and you soften this knee, then this foot might lift. There might be enough slack on either edge of the strap where you can draw your elbows to the sides and overhead. And now it's these actions. The back view is the best way to see it. Not for all of us, but for some of us, the thigh wants to open up to the side, and then we want to lean forward. And if not today, but eventually, you might feel that in the lowest part of your back. So I'm trying to think, imaginary block, hug the thigh in, kick the foot back, lift up through the chest. And as you do that, maybe your hands begin to walk down the strap and you dial it back in, thigh to the midline, foot back, lift up through the chest. And then when you want to come out, sometimes you get flung out, sometimes you can release, but just be mindful of the exit of how we come out. Yeah? We'll try it once on each side. So find your strap, a big old jump rope. If you haven't picked a foot already, let's do the right foot. And then cross your handle so you're making a little bow over the foot. Now step your left foot over and through that X. Lean forward, bend your left standing knee. And as you lean forward, lift your right heel up, kick your tush with your heel. There might be enough slack on the strap to draw your elbows to the sides and overhead like you're patting yourself on the back. Soften the standing knee, hug your right thigh to the left, kick your foot back to lift your chest up. And then maybe you stay here or your hands walk down the strap towards the right foot and you dial it back in, thigh to the midline, foot back as you lift your heart up. Take a breath, and when you are ready to come out, slowly release the strap and lower both feet down onto the ground. Okay, that looked lovely. Questions? That's a pose. We'll be doing that pose a few times throughout the month. It's a pose that, I might have told you this before, when I'm in it, like when I just was in it, it feels like any second my foot is just going to curl over my nose and go right into my mouth. And then when I look at a picture of myself, I'm like, foot is so far. And it just proves the point continuously that it's not, it can be, but for the service of this practice, it's not how close the foot and head can be, but it's all these actions that we're creating within the form to create stability within ourselves. So let's try it. Second side, last side. Left foot into the strap, cross the handles, make a little bow, and then step your right foot over and through. Bend your right knee, lean forward. And as you soften the standing knee, lift your left heel and kick your tush with your heel. Draw your elbows to the sides and up overhead. Bend the standing knee. And as you hug your left thigh to the midline, kick your foot back, slide the ribs back to lift your heart up. Good, stay right here breathing. Or maybe your hands start to walk down the strap towards the foot, but think left thigh to the right, foot back as you lift up through the heart. Really listen for the breath, maybe look away from the floor, and then slowly, with care, come all the way out. Nice. Ditch your strap to the side. We'll use it a little later. Come to stand at the top of your mat. Let your feet be wide. Take a big breath in to reach up. And as you exhale, a generous bend in your knees as you fold over your legs. Plant your palms to the top of your mat. Walk your feet to the back to take it back to down dog. The knees soft. Lift your butt to the sky and listen for the breath. A deeper breath in and a longer breath out. Now from your down dog, lower the knees fully to the floor. Come to flip over onto your back so that your head once again is facing the front of the room. Your feet face the wall behind you. Have your strap within a grabbable distance. We'll use it for a few supine twists. And have your therapy balls accessible too. If you need any of those things, raise a hand and I can easily bring some over to you. But once you come to lay on your back with your strap and therapy balls, with your feet as wide as your mat, knees bent, take a big breath in. And on your exhale, drop your knees over to the right. Inhale to bring the knees back up through center. Big exhale to drop your knees over to the left. Now on your next inhale, as the knees come up, give the right leg a hug in towards your belly or in towards your chest. Either interlace your hands behind the right thigh or find your strap and loop it around your right foot like a jump rope once more. As you have a hold onto the right foot or onto the strap, give yourself enough slack on either edge of the strap so that your elbows can touch the floor if you're using it, and begin to straighten your right heel towards the ceiling. Can you shrug both shoulders to your ears? Wiggle your shoulder blades towards one another as you take a longer breath in and a deeper breath out. Now straighten your left leg long out in front of you. Bring both edges of the strap into just your left hand, or let your left hand hold your right thigh. Use your right hand on the top of your right thigh where your right hip and your thigh start to meet, and give it a little pressure. Press the thigh away from your belly, and 1 inch at a time begin to move the right leg to the left. Good. As you press the right hip away from your right shoulder and let the right leg move to the left, can you shrug your right shoulder up and back as you feel for your breath? A deeper breath in and a longer breath out. Now on your next inhale, slowly release the hold of your leg, draw it through center, lower the right foot to the floor, and give the left leg a hug in towards your belly or in towards your chest. Start with some circles in the left foot or ankle. Take a breath, and now either interlace your hands behind your left thigh, or find your strap and loop it around that left foot. With enough slack on either edge of the strap, let your elbows, your triceps touch the ground, and shrug both shoulders to the ears as you wiggle the shoulder blades together. Take a big breath in. Stay for your exhale. Can you release the gripping of your fingers around the strap as the back of your head softens to the floor? And now straighten your right leg long in front of you. Both edges of the strap into just your right hand, and let your left palm come to the top of your left thigh where your hip and your thigh begin to meet. Give yourself a little manual adjust. Press your thigh away from your belly towards the back of the mat, and begin 1 inch at a time to move that left foot to the right. A long, steady breath in through the nose, and a clear breath out. Can you peel the left pinky toes back towards your left shin? Take another breath in. Stay for your exhale. Now on your inhale, draw the left leg up through center. Slip it out from the strap, lower your feet, and give them a squeeze in towards your belly or in towards your chest. You might make some small circles in one or the other direction. Perhaps you lean gently from one side to the other, but feel for your breath. And then slowly release the hold of your legs down to the earth. I'm going to talk us through therapy balls today in the hips and in the glutes, since we've spent so much time there. If you'd like to set up early for rest, please feel free to do so. We'll meet you there momentarily. But for those doing therapy balls in the glutes, you can take them out of their tote, hold a therapy ball in each hand, and now with your knees bent, feet on the ground, lift your hips just enough to pop the therapy balls to the top of your butt cheeks, to either side of your tailbone and either side of your spine. Once you find those therapy balls, somewhere you can breathe in, at the top tips of your tush. Let your arms fall anywhere they fall, on your body or alongside of you. Take a deep breath in, and even open your mouth to let that breath go. Now with your knees bent, feet on the ground, begin the swivel of your hips. Gently sway your hips to the right, and let your knees move to the left. And then hips to the left and knees to the right. As you zigzag your butt and your knees from side to side, you'll feel those therapy balls moving along the upper fibers of your tush. Can you take longer inhales in and full exhales out? Perhaps a very literal churning of the milky ocean to notice what you're feeling under the surface of your skin. Now, after a few breaths at the top of your tush, draw your hips and knees back through center. And for one more place, use your hands and lower those therapy balls a few inches to come to the middle of your butt cheeks, slightly lower than where you were before. A big breath in. And open your mouth to let that breath out. And following your pace, begin that swivel. Sway your hips to the right and knees to the left. Hips to the left and knees to the right. Continue on your own, feeling those therapy balls moving along the middle fibers of your tush. What you'll feel is they'll get wider and wider apart. And eventually they might end up towards the outer seams of your hips and pants. Once they find themselves wide, let them stay there as you draw your hips and knees back through center. Then heel toe both feet to the left side of your mat and drop just your right knee to the right so that right therapy ball finds its way into your outer right tush. From the churning of that ocean of milk reveals jewels, wisdom, knowledge, and the metaphorical poison. And so the question of Shiva becomes not how do I ignore or deny, but how can I find a way to still find breath within this. As you draw the right knee through center, walk your feet through center. For the other side, heel toe your feet to the right and drop just your left knee to the left so that left therapy ball finds its way into your outer left hip. A deep breath in, a long breath out. Can the fingers soften, the jaw soften, the tongue release away from the roof of your mouth. Now on your inhale, bring the knees back up through center. Use your hands and pop the therapy balls out. Let the weight of your tush drop down to the ground. Take a breath here into what you don't see, but you can so very clearly feel. And now as we make our way towards rest, give yourself a moment, as many moments as you need, to get as comfortable as you possibly can. Meaning you might add layers or use any props. Perhaps the rolled up blanket underneath your knees so your low back settles to the earth. Perhaps any blocks to support. You might let your hair down or set your glasses safely off to the side as you drape yourself onto the floor. And as you let your eyes close or soften, can you feel that ocean-like quality of your own breath? Where each breath slowly dissolves the entire practice that was. Each breath helps you arrive to where you are now. And every round of breath that comes after makes space for what has yet to come. So as every quality of your breath lets you become heavier into the floor, the heavier you become, the more expansive and spacious you may just begin to feel. Begin to deepen your breath. Take a longer breath in and a sweeter breath out. Take another breath in, down, and wide. And as you exhale, offer all of that breath out. Let your breath begin to awaken the body that you are in and the very being that you are as you take any gentle movements that feel supportive to you. You might roll your wrists or your ankles in one or the other direction. Perhaps you tip your head from one side to the other, heavy against the earth. Just watching for props and any neighbors around you. Perhaps you reach your arms away from your legs or draw your knees in towards your own chest. But when the time comes, all of us will meet with the knees bent, arms overhead, as you roll over to any side of your choosing, to curl into yourself. And as you press into the floor, make your way up to rise to a tall seat, similar to how we began. Take a deep breath in, down, and wide. And as you exhale, offer the breath up and out in every direction. Our time together will finish with one more of those breaths. You can gather your hands to center where that feels for you. As you take a deep breath in, to let it all go. You might bow your head towards your heart or lift your hands towards your head in such a simple yet sincere gesture of self-reverence, bowing to your heart and the hearts of each other who practiced alongside next to yours. And I bow to each and every one of you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. A pleasure to practice with you, to be with you. Thank you. Drink water. Take care of yourselves. It's daylight savings on Sunday. I know it's not, that doesn't mean it's spring, but in my head, I'm like, it is summer. It's coming. So whatever that means for your time differences. I don't have, the only announcement I have is it's the last week of the flower show. I've been twice already. I'm going one more time on Thursday. It's beautiful. It's overstimulating and perfect, but it is very, very lovely. And they're selling crocosmia bulbs, which I have never found anywhere else. They're the flower that usually only grows in South Africa, but shockingly, they do very well in Philadelphia. They look like little spines. So I just bought some today. So if you're interested in local small business things, the flower shop, also beloved Kishan is here, who owns More Vintage Archive on 4th Street, which is so lovely. Anyone else have any announcements, any things to share that you're seeing, you're going to, other people should know about? It's still, every time I ask, I always make eye contact with anyone to be like, is anyone saying anything? I want to give you the floor. But if not, I will see you soon. Thank you for coming. Yeah, the flower show's theme this year is Gardens of the Future.
Yeah, my cousin said it was nice because it was a lot of like, there's more environmental.
Yes. There's a whole living prairie that they made.
Oh, really?
And it's so beautiful. Yeah. I know. Go on the weekdays.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I have a student who's working there this week. He's like in the US studies or something.
Oh.
And he said he's talking about the Philadelphia influencers. And I was like,
Who are these people? What are influencers in Philadelphia even doing? Because I want to know. Oh, I have one other announcement that I totally forgot about. This is not related to yoga. If you or anyone you know has short hair and would like to be in a paid commercial for a hair care product, I know this sounds fake. It is very real and safe. My girlfriend owns a video production company and is looking for models to do short hair care work. I can give you her email. She is real and very lovely, and this is a safe thing. Come find me and I can send you her contact.
Is my hair too short?
She said, I don't know. I could give you her connection and she can tell you. She said above shoulder length, and I know nothing else. And she will tell you all the information.
That's awesome.
She has done this before. It's called Barb Hair Care. You can Instagram them.